we've talked about Tucker Carlson on our show before, and I've always had mixed feelings about him. I think there are, of all the people that were ever a big name on Fox News, he was always the best. And the reason why is because he's really got a very solid libertarian streak when it comes to things like free speech rights, and especially when it comes to anti-war.
Yes.
So he has been spot on about that. He, of course, is very xenophobic in his rhetoric when it comes to immigration. That's always been Jen's
Where is he on Israel? Well, yeah, I don't like that.
Well, you're going to listen because his tune has changed significantly since he no longer is on a major network. Now, is this because he no longer has major contributors? Well, Tucker has made it very clear that he never really cared for them in the first place.
He doesn't need their money anyway. No, that's the thing.
Well, Tucker has gotten to that point. He was born into major affluence and now today stands as a 100 millionaire, then some. So he doesn't really have to worry, but he's had some very interesting things to say, including his recent interview with Glenn Greenwald. So we're going to play you guys a clip. You judge for yourself.
And I think they feel that on an animal level, and they're terrified. They're clearly terrified. I don't know if you read the last special issue of The Atlantic, but it's panic.
Yeah,
okay?
it's self-terror. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Right. In the Washington Post saying we're really headed to dictatorship. I mean, the rhetoric is really ramped up now. And I agree that they, actually do believe it. They've talked themselves into it. And I think, I hate this, constant comparison of everybody we don't like to Nazis. So I say this not to do that. But, Hannah Arendt observed when she watched the Nuremberg trials what she called the banality of evil. That, you think that people who are doing evil things and tyrannical things have horns growing out of their head and are like fangs with blood dripping out of it. And usually they're just kind of very mild personalities who get swept up into their own righteousness and have no ability to see what it is they're doing. And I think most of all, they know the public hates them. They know the public doesn't listen to them anymore. In fact, the public, if they hear them saying something, wants to do the opposite, which is why Trump being indicted actually has politically strengthened him, because people don't trust the guardians of these systems, like the people at the Atlantic and like the people who are in D.C. Let me just ask you about one more question before we get to your new media outlet, because I do think you're...
Wait, can I just interject for one thing and just say about one of the great shocks for me as an aging man is to see Hannah Arendt and Sigmund Freud written out of the public conversation. Both of them were huge when I was a kid. Smart people read Sigmund Freud or talked about Sigmund Freud or underwent Freudian analysis and read Hannah Arendt. And both of them are so unfashionable now for reasons that no one will specify. But in the case of Assange, if you read it, if you follow that case at all and you sort of push a tiny bit, okay, what's his crime? He spent 4.5 years in the worst prison in the UK. What has he been charged with in the UK? Nothing. He has not been charged with a crime in Great Britain, period. And so why is he in jail? Well, because the U.S. government is trying to indict him, and the British government has agreed to hold him in a maximum security cell in isolation until that's resolved. Well, what is this? And then you find out that before he was charged with any crime in the United States, that Mike Pompeo, who is the director of the CIA, decided to kill him, to assassinate him before he'd been charged with a crime. And then you think to yourself, wait a second. Are federal appointees in my country allowed to use my tax dollars to murder people who embarrass them? I don't think they're allowed to do that. In fact, I think that's a felony. But Mike Pompeo is not in jail. In fact, he's bombing around to the same donors that, they all go to.
That's saying some of the quiet stuff out loud. I've never had a huge problem with Tucker Carlson. I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but again, I don't ever agree with deplatforming people. So that's just,
There were other sound bites over the course of the interview that were very powerful, including saying that Reaganomics is a scam, which is very interesting. He even said, look, he acknowledges that we don't have a living wage in this country, and that's messed up. He acknowledges that we don't have a functioning healthcare system, and that's messed up. He acknowledges that the war in Ukraine and the war in Israel is all for profit and all at the detriment for the people. He convinced Trump not to start a war with Syria, and that, among other reasons, is why they could not have him as president. If you remember, that was the one time during Trump's presidency where they were saying, oh, he's a president now. He's doing a wonderful job.
Yeah.
But yet Tucker goes on TV and almost is pleading to Trump on a national platform, don't do this. Do not start a war in Syria. And by not doing that, he did the right thing on behalf of the people and of the people of the world, but he got in the way of the military-industrial complex, which is why they're propping up Joe Biden now for re-election, even though he can't keep his eyes open. For how much longer, I don't know. But as long as he's willing to do their bidding, then they're going to be more than happy to have him back in the White House. And I have also been told on good authority from somebody who was on the Hill that Joe is 1,000% running for re-election.
And so,
yes, not going to be dragged out at the 11 o'clock hour, as some people are suspecting. No, he's going through with it. Yeah. And, democracy be damned. But what I would say in regards to Tucker.
You know what it is, Metal? It's lending your privilege. It's lending your privilege.
And maybe that is what he's doing right now. Maybe he's woken up to a lot of the things that the likes of Glenn Greenwald, and obviously he recently visited Belmarsh Prison with Julian Assange. And the fact that he has been 100% behind Assange's freedom from day one and has never moved on this issue is very important.
He makes a very valid point.
Yeah. Now, for anybody who believes in the Constitution, as I do, as you do, is it floating? Is it sitting here somewhere?
It's always right
there. It is. See, if you believe in this little book,
this My Little Constitution, I highly recommend one.
Then you can't ever take for granted the fact that Julian Assange is a journalist, despite what some people say, and that what he has done has been vital to free speech, not just here, but around the world. And they are trying to crack down on it all the time. Yeah. The fact that Tucker has acknowledged that our economic system is completely broken is very important coming from him. Now, even though he may not have a national TV audience, he still has a pretty sizable audience on social media. So it is interesting to see the way that things are shifting. But the more that we can have working people come together, regardless of where they stand on the political spectrum on wedge issues, it's very promising to see somebody like Tucker say those things that he said.
I don't know. It doesn't seem that unusual. He's often said things like that. That's one of the reasons why I didn't find him completely loathsome like people like Hannity.
Yeah, and I always found it interesting when people would say that Tucker was the worst of the worst. And yeah, guess what? If you disagree with him on immigration, you can agree with him on something else.
And I do disagree. Well, I disagree with that whole premise of that whole group of people about immigration.
If you guys haven't seen Jen's interview with Luke Rakowski on We Are Change.
We are change.
We are change, not generational change. We are change. How ironic. Maybe he got an inspiration. You never know. But there was a very heated discussion about immigration with a very libertarian right crowd. But there was still a lot of consensus on a lot of core issues. And that is what I saw with what Tucker Carlson was saying. Don't have to agree with everything, but there were a lot of salient points that were being made that I think a lot of people would agree on.
It all comes down to how you treat people to me.
Yeah.
And how you view people and and the problem I have with immigration is how they view immigrants, how they talk about immigrants, how they view immigrants. It is not from any sort of position of kindness or empathy. It seems to only come from othering and punching down. And I'm never going to like that. I'm never going to like that. I'm never going to support policies that are mean to people. I just think we could do better. I'm never going to support that. I don't care. Like, there's nothing anybody's going to say that's going to justify things that are unkind to people, to me. And I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, okay, let's build a wall and put barbed wire on it and have a whole bunch of like women and children sitting there in the desert with nowhere to go. And this is never going to be something I'm going to support.
And Sable, if that's the case, then that's a good thing. It doesn't mean that we have to like him or like anybody for that matter. But as long as the message that's being conveyed is a message that is actually getting to the core of the issues that we're fighting on, that's fine. And to your point, you don't like my music? So are a lot of other people. He's not. If he is, then so be it. But you know what?
We're not like singing praises to Tucker Carlson.
No,
I mean,
we're acknowledging that what he did was correct.
Yeah, it was a good. What he said, we'll call it out if we think it's good, and I'll call it out if I think it's bad. But regardless of what you think, I don't support deplatforming people, so it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, some people really need to get to the core of what this is all about, and that is
he's anti-war.
Yeah, if
that's what it's about.
If you're asking me to measure on a scale, do I think Tucker is more positive than negative? Yeah, I think he is. That's my opinion.
And the truth is that doesn't even matter to me either here. He could be totally negative. It doesn't matter. That's just the way it is in a free society. You get negative, you get positive. It's just the way it works. But I don't have such a I mean, I don't see what the biggest deal is about him.
Well, the cause and effect is a big deal.
But the reason he was let go, the reason anybody on any mainstream media is let go is because they've spoken out against a war. If you take a stand against the military-industrial complex on whatever your mainstream network name, whatever, you will be let go. They'll let you stand up for different things, different whatever. Maybe you could say this
because in this country we believe in free speech. Full stop.
Yeah, no. That's the way that you counteract morons and racists is by putting out better and more clear information.
And that's why we love Dr. West.
Yeah.
And there are other people that feel the same way. And you know who else is really good on Julian Assange? RFK is really good on Julian Assange.
Yeah, I would also think Jill Stein. I would assume Jill Stein's probably on the correct side.
Pretty much anybody that's not under the crux of the actual machine is actually really good.
Yeah.
But but of course, therein lies the problem with somebody like Trump.
No, I don't. Well, I will never support deplatforming anybody.
Trump says that he's in favor. Yes, I'm totally in favor of this, and then you don't do anything. In fact, you're worse because you pretend like you care. At least Joe Biden, if he's consistent on anything, is that he believes in totalitarianism, that you can actually deplatform journalists and you can prosecute them and not have a problem with that.
If you know what you do, if you don't like somebody because they're a moron or racist, change the channel.
Yeah, really.
Change the channel. Watch something else. Go find something else to watch.
Sure.
I will never support censorship or deplatforming. And let me tell you something. There is no shortage of stupid shit out there. Oh my God, there is so much stupid shit out there.
And again, if one wants to make the argument about, well, it's a private company, for example, we did a clip about Alex Jones being allowed back onto Twitter by Elon Musk. You know, everybody can have an opinion about that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see it one way or the other. Alex Jones was sued in court and lost, and he is going to have garnished income for the rest of his life.
Well, and I think we can distinguish between deplatforming a particular post, right? Like the stuff when something comes out that is causing harm to families, like the Sandy Hook families. I have no problem with taking things down that are causing imminent harm to people. That is the exception to free speech. But you don't need to deplatform the person. You could take down the post, and you can also fine them, and there can be consequences like there are. He got sued, and I think there could be punitive damages when you do get caught putting out speech that is causing harm.
And it's like, Trump made, reference to the blood, if you will, of immigrants coming into this country. And of course, they've already jumped to the conclusion that it's Hitler-esque of what he's saying. Look, here's the bottom line. Trump is going to win again because this country is completely been taken for a ride by the powers that be that have basically looted the entire economy. They don't think that we should have a stable system where the average person can live a dignified life. That's over now.
Yeah.
So now it's just a question of how it's going to completely spiral out of control. Biden ain't saving your ass, and neither is Trump. That doesn't mean RFK will or Cornel West will. What will actually save us is when working people unite in this country. Does it have to be the Russian Revolution? No. But until working people unite, this shit will only get worse.
Well, and also drawing the connections between labor and other oppressed peoples, which is also one of the things we talked about the other day as to why it's such a big deal that the UAW called for a ceasefire in Palestine. More and more groups are seeing the interconnectedness of the struggle against capital, because that's really what this is. I mean, it's all a struggle against the same power base. The power system that's keeping people oppressed is the same power system. Whatever's screwing labor here is the same power structure that's keeping Palestinians oppressed. It's levels and degrees, but the oppressor is capital. It's the same oppressor.
Trump serves Trump, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah, no, but and also as to how we're treating immigrants, Joe hasn't been any better.
No, he's been worse.
I mean, it's like to me that how somebody treats the least of these will determine how I think of them.
And for You Don't Like My Music and anybody else who thinks that Trump is worse than Biden, let me explain. As a human being, as a provocateur, you can say that Trump is worse than Biden. In terms of political execution, Biden is worse than Trump because they can get so much more bad shit done when you literally have a sleepwalking, completely cognitively declined commander-in-chief who isn't calling the shots. How else are they able to do what they're doing right now, justifying what's happening in Gaza? How are they able to do what's happening right now with the border? How are they able to justify the parliamentarian is the reason you don't have a $15 minimum wage, which is a joke at this point?
Yeah, no, we don't. I mean,
how do you justify doing literally next to nothing on healthcare? You're out there bragging. Your one claim to fame in 3 goddamn years is that you reduced the price of insulin to $35 a month for senior citizens.
Infrastructure bill or whatever it is.
And your infrastructure bill is a complete corporate giveaway. Let me assure you, if we had a real infrastructure bill in this country, one that actually did infrastructure.
Maybe with a federal jobs guarantee.
You'd already have the water pipes fixed in Jackson, Mississippi, Flint, Michigan, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and God knows how many other places.
The truth is they need to be fixed everywhere. Most places need a complete infrastructure overhaul. I know that our systems down here are like 60 years.
Yeah.
And need to be, so that's something that needs to happen everywhere. And this is, Joe, and I was watching somebody on Instagram, Linda Sarsour, if anybody doesn't know who she is, she's an activist. And she was making a very salient point last night, which is when people say that Joe, that if you don't vote for Joe, you're supporting Trump. The impact of that statement.
It's nothing like it used to be.
Not only that, but it varies greatly depending on who you're talking to, because she was saying, as a Palestinian, she's right now watching Joe complicit and contributing to the genocide of her people. You can't get worse than that.
Hey,
okay? There's no worse
can
than that.
Can I just shut this argument down from You Don't Like My Music? Let me make one thing completely clear to you why Biden is worse on immigration than Donald Trump is. Donald Trump wants a Muslim ban. Joe Biden is committing a genocide, and he's not letting any Palestinians into this country. So that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah,
anything else, it's over.
Seriously,
completely
stop
over.
about Joe. When it comes to how we treat the least of these, there's no difference. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.